can start when you're...
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome. So, do you want to tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, what you do for work? We can start with that.
Sure. So my name is Amit, Amit Musai. I'm from Holon, that's in the Tel Aviv district. I'm 40 years old. I'm married plus three. And I'm working as a tour guide for tourists here in Israel. I'm mostly guiding Christian evangelicals, but basically any Christian pilgrims who are into coming to Israel. And on the other hand, I'm working as a tour educator on birthright trips. So besides, I'm working as a private guide, and that's it. That's my life. I really enjoy my profession. That's basically how like the first identification to myself is my profession. So who I am, I'm a tour guide. That's the first thing. And I was born here in Israel. I lived all of my life in Holon. And we have a community over there, and that's it.
So, tell me about your experience on October 7th, if you want to start on Friday or start on Saturday, whenever the story starts for you.
The story starts for me when I was 20. I became in love in the psychedelic trance scene here in Israel specifically. And I'm going to festivals and parties on those recent 20 years. I'm doing that with two of my best friends. And then more people have joined en route in this passing 20 years. It's a life passion. It's how I like to spend my time. Not every weekend, obviously, not today when I'm 40, but it was almost every weekend when I was younger. And the purchasing of tickets to the festival, the Nova Festival, had happened, I think, in around June. That was even before my flight to Hungary to the Ozora Festival over there. So we were prepared for this festival, and we knew who is coming, and we were excited for it as time came closer. On Friday Eve, I was already dressed up for the party. I was with my family. We've made a typical Shabbat dinner. We even celebrated my youngest daughter. We celebrated her 5th birthday. And then I went back home, got my stuff, my gear, and met with my friends who were with me on my vehicle. But there was another team that was supposed to join us later. So that would be Adir, Shiraz, and Celine. All three of them were supposed to come with Adir and to meet us in the festival in the early morning hours. Adir just came to say hi before we leave. He's my neighbor. We jumped in the car, we started the drive. It was not a long drive. It takes approximately 1 hour 10, 1 hour 20 minutes to go from Holon to the Gaza envelope area, where the party took part. Specifically, it was just a bit after Kibbutz Be'eri, in a territory called Re'im, which I'm very familiar with, as this is a place when it's something typical to local tourism. Israelis really like to go there and to see the anomalies around February. There is a big festival which is called Red South, or Darom Adom in Hebrew. So I'm familiar with the location. I didn't know exactly where the party would be, but once I've arrived there, once we took the turn from the road to the open land, to the forest area, so I was very familiar with the area, and I was happy about it. Like I told my friends, hey, listen, I know this place, and I was kind of proud of it. We had arrived to the parking space. It was 1:30 a.m., I believe. I don't know what made me to do that, but I've decided to park under maybe one of the only trees that were there in the parking space. This is a fact that became very important in my story. Arriving to the parking space, we've parked the car, we took our camping gear, our backpacks, and with our personal gear, and then we went into the party, we set up our tent. We were four of us. All of us are males in our 40s, so myself, Osher, and there are two characters in the story with the same name, so I would use their full name, Alon Milner and Alon Kazar, and this was our team. Actually, four of us have been to the Ozora Festival in the recent, the two recent summers together. So we were quite familiar with each other. Basically, three of us are friends from more than 20 years ago. Alon Kazar have joined us maybe 15 years ago, so we're quite familiar with each other. They're all unmarried, no children. I'm the only one who is married plus three. But I'm still enjoying the parties as they do. Anyways, we've arrived, we set up our tent, and we started to explore the festival. The main stage was not open yet. They had a technical issue over there. So we went to the smaller stage, and we've enjoyed a few hours over there. Towards, I think, 6 a.m., I've made a phone call to the other team that's supposed to be there in maybe 30 minutes or so. So I've called Adir, and Adir reported that they are on the way or about to leave. And I told him that we are waiting, and Adir just said, do you need anything? Is there anything that is missing? Which is very typical to him. And I said, no, you are missing. I want you here. Anyways, the time goes, and it's now 6:20 something. The sun is about to rise, and it's only me and Alon Milner in the smaller stage. Although the bigger stage was already active and working, and we've been there for maybe an hour, we've decided to go to the smaller stage because the sound over there just was something that we more appreciate. The two other friends, Osher and Alon Kazar, I don't think I know their whereabouts. Most likely Osher was in the main stage, and Alon Kazar, I think he was in the tent. He was a bit tired. So I went back to the tent. I wanted to surprise Alon Milner, my friend, bringing his sunglasses. So I've made it, and I came slowly behind him. I handed him his sunglasses. And I've been on the stage for maybe like 5 minutes, and it was just beautiful atmosphere. The moon was still in the sky, the Venus was very bright, and then the sun started to rise slowly. I remember I was dancing next to the left speaker, and then the music stopped. When music stops I think in any festival, but specifically in trance music, because it's so upbeat and you're so energetic, it kind of makes a crash in yourself. So the first thing you hear is boo. The crowd is booing to the producer, to the team, to whatever, to the DJ. But while they were booing, I'm listening and I hear booming sounds. So I think maybe those are fireworks. And I say, no, fireworks makes no sense. Not in this music scene, and definitely not when the sun is about to rise. So what is it? And then I look at the sky and I see interceptions. I know how interceptions look like because I'm an Israeli. I lived all of my life in Israel, and unfortunately, in the recent almost 20 years, we've been receiving missiles from Gaza. We know also how interceptions are looking like. It's nothing new to me. The only thing that was new to me is now that I'm not at home, I'm not in a building, there is no shelter. What should I do? We hear also the production team shouting out, there are interceptions of Iron Dome, lie on the ground, cover your head, and then security team came out and tell everybody, lie on the down, cover your head. They're like repeating like a mantra. So this is what we've done, me and Alon. We're on the ground covering our head. The next minutes were very confusing because you see some people are running, some people are just standing and puzzled, don't know what to do, and some are on the ground. And then they told us, the security told us that we need to evacuate. So we ran again, and the only shelter we could find were the food trucks area. So we've been there for another couple of minutes, then we've made a decision. I told my friend, listen, let's go to the tent. As we arrived to the tent, also the other two parties had arrived to the tent, and we don't know what to do. I'm calling Adir. I want to make sure that he's safe because now we are under a missile attack. So obviously he's also in the area. He's supposed to arrive maybe in 10 minutes. He tells me, Amit, I found the shelter. While his wife Shiraz in the background, I hear her panicking. She's screaming like, Imale, Imale, Mami, Mami. I told him stay safe, and I've hanged up the phone. And I'm thinking about my family because I understand that the tons of missiles that are just flying over our heads are making the way to where I live. Some of them are falling very close as we hear the booms, but it's a direct, it could be direct hits in Holon, and I know how my family reacts to that. I know how my family is panicking when this is happening. So I can be very nonchalant about, okay, it's another missile attack, but I worry for my family. And I remind you, the three other parties that are with me, they don't have much to worry about. They don't have kids at home. So I told them, listen guys, I'm not gonna stay here. I wanna run away. And they thought I wanna run away. And I told them, no way, I'm not going to the woods here. There is nothing to be hiding below. So let's go to the car. And we just took our personal gear. We've walked to the vehicle. My vehicle is quite modern. It's an SUV, Subaru SUV from 2020. And it was very easy to locate the car because I've parked under a tree. So I'm taking out the remote, I'm clicking the button, and it's not working. Now, we see everything, like there is a fireworks show in front of us, all around us. We see interceptions, we see missiles are falling, we see and we hear everything, and people are obviously panicked. Some of them, some others just like walking very easy. Some have stayed in the camping area. But once I've made a decision to go, so okay, but the car is not opening. I'm using my mechanical key to open the door. Okay, I'm inside, but it's not igniting because it needs the remote to be active. And I did not replace the battery, although the car told me for the several last months, you need to change battery, but I didn't. Which caused the delay. So I've made few attempts to ignite the car. Eventually, I think it took me maybe 10 minutes, and finally it started. I'm taking a pause to drink. Okay. So once the car started, I told my friends, jump in, let's go. And they told me I'm not in the mode to drive. So I told them, no, I'm very determined. I know how I am. It's all good. All I need is just some water next to me, and that's it. Let's go. Now we are in a mayhem of navigation, how to navigate our way outside this parking lot. It's not roads. There is no security anymore. No one is functioning. So we had to take some, I took some off-road. I drove over trees, under trees, and possibly the car was damaged. I didn't even checked yet. But I drove carefully, but I've made my way out. And then coming to the intersection with the road, there is a lot of traffic. One of the most famous documents of the things that happen in the festival is showing that that intersection with a lot of cars that didn't make it out. Time now is about, I think, 7 a.m., something like that. If the missile attack started at 6:30, plus all the delays until we arrived to the car, until it ignited, so it's approximately 7. and I'm just bypassing many other cars because it's a four-wheel drive and I know how to drive some off-road, so I've made my way out. We arrived to the road, but we cannot drive northwest, which is home. There is a police over there and they don't let us. So we turn to the other side, and my friends asked me, okay, do you know where to go? And I told them, yeah, obviously I know where to go. I'm going to the Rising Sun, which is the opposite direction from Gaza. So now Gaza is in my back, and northeast is where I'm driving towards. We've passed an intersection and I took the turn, which most likely saved my life. I've went to a road which is basically connecting like 2 points that are not a big interest to anyone. It's between Kibbutz Re'im to Kibbutz Urim. What happened next are two things. The first thing, I don't remember which came first, but one of them was we call Shiraz, which is Adir's wife, and she tell us we are at Mefalsim, and she said in Hebrew, Yesh Yeriyot. Now in Hebrew, it could be translated to there are shootings, but of what? So even missiles, they are shooting missiles. Not there, I don't think there is a word for launching missiles in Hebrew. So this is what we thought. Okay, we know that there are missiles. And the call was finished maybe after a few seconds, and the person who was communicating with her was Alon Milner, who sat in the back. I'm driving, next to me there is Osher, in the back the two Alons. And few seconds after, I see lots of glass pieces on the asphalt road. And it made no sense until a second after we're looking to the right and we see a big white GMC Savannah with no windows. All the windows were broken. And I don't remember our reaction, maybe a wow, maybe oh my God or something like that. I don't think any one of us was panicked, but it was a sight that obviously you don't get to see every day. And my personal thought was maybe it was hit by a missile, maybe people have just went out next to the road, but then Alon in the back reports, did you see the body over there? And now I said, what body? Which body? And then they realized that they need to relax me, I think. We are communicating so good, all four of us, so nobody, Amit, just keep on driving, focus on the road, you're doing well. And I'm driving like 80 kilometers per hour, which is quite relaxed. I could definitely push the pedal all the way down and drive 120, but I didn't see the need for it. But we still see a lot of smoke and coming from different places. Eventually, it was a maybe 13 kilometers drive, like 8 miles. It took us maybe 15 minutes. I think we've tried to call Shiraz and Adir a few more times, but there was no answer. And eventually we arrived to an intersection, Urim intersection. Over there, there is a facility of a gas station, and Aroma coffee place, and also a migunit, which is a bomb shelter. The miguniyot, you have them all over the Gaza envelope because of their reoccurring missile attacks on Israel. So basically it's a shelter that's supposed to give you a protection, and the shelter that you can run towards in maybe 15 or 20 seconds. But once we arrived over there, my friends actually asked me, why are you stopping? And I told them, listen, there is a place, there is a facility, there is a building, let's hide here. We've stopped the car, we went out of the car, and as we are running towards the building, which later we realized it's like the Aroma coffee place. Here again, I don't remember what came first, but someone told us to duck down.
Another person, like from another group.
Yes, people that were already there. He told us to duck down, that there is a terrorist, and we actually heard bullet hits that came from a heavy machine gun. It was very obvious it came from a heavy machine gun. You can recognize the sound. It was something like massive.
And this was the first time you heard that there were terrorists
Yes.
inside?
Yes, that's the first time we heard about terrorists. I don't remember what came first, if they told us about the terrorist or the shootings, but anyway, we've ducked next to the building. I couldn't lie on the ground. I was like, I don't know, my body just couldn't do that. So I was like ducking, and there were some people that have escaped from the festival. You can see just by how they dressed. And there was a group of people who came for a nice bicycle ride on Shabbat morning. And that moment was most likely the most scary moment for me in the entire happening of that day. So I was very close to ground level. They told us, someone told us there is a terrorist here. We see one police officer with a pistol. One of the bike riders had a personal weapon, also a pistol, and he told us that he's looking for the terrorist, but he don't know where he's hiding. So what can you do? If you will start to walk, you are more exposed. While you are ducking down, maybe the terrorist is hiding on a lower level. So and I don't know where to look or how to find a terrorist. I'm not trained to that. So what I've done that moment was telling my friends. Osher was a bit away from us. He went to hide closer to the gas station. I told the two Alons, listen, guys, if I'm not surviving that, like, send my love to my family. And I was in the mode of saying goodbye to life. I was prepared to leave. I knew that the bullet can come any minute now. And as time passed, there was a bit more security that the terrorist is not there. Or at least we don't know where he is. Maybe he's away. So it was confusing, but still, like, you don't know what to do. There is no one in charge. No one.
And where is that? So you were by the Aroma? Were you near?
So I was on the back of the Aroma, not on the main entrance. The main entrance is closer to the gas station shade. I'm closer to the bomb shelter, which was occupied with, I think, 20 or 30 people were there, possibly more.
These are the like above ground bomb shelters?
Yes, the Migunit is always above ground because it's supposed to give you an immediate escape place. So I'm next to the Aroma, and then there is a door. We open the door and people are inside. So that leads. So that's not exactly the Aroma. It's not like the sitting area, which was very, very open to the road where we fear the terrorists are located. But it's on the back side, so this door is the back door. It leads to the kitchen. Now we are finding ourselves hiding in a kitchen of Aroma, next to refrigerators, vegetables, sinks.
And it wasn't open at this point? Like, were there any employees?
One employee was there. She was the shift manager. And in retrospective, she was very, very cool. On that moment, it was, I would just say it was a big mess.
Yeah.
So because she said it's a private business, you cannot use it, but no one realized yet what is really happening. And in her own way, she was very stressed, but also she really controlled the situation. So luckily enough, there was enough water over there, so we could drink. And there were some people which were in a panic attack. You could see that, like, their behavior and cry and shouts and screams. And
How many people do you think?
I think within the kitchen we were approximately 40. I remember that someone requested to count, so I've counted approximately 40. I think in the bomb shelter there were possibly another 40, and I think I know that some people were just outdoors because they couldn't be inside. You know, they just cannot be in a closed place. So Two of them were my friends, Osher and Alon Kazar. They were outside the entire time.
They didn't come inside with
No,
you?
they
Why?
couldn't because there was not enough fresh air. And also, some people, when they are panicked, they need to smoke, and you cannot smoke indoors. So we've spent there, I think, between 1.5 and 2 hours. And from time to time, I also went outside to see if there is any change. So there were less and less missiles and interceptions. I remember I saw a parachute, which is something that I couldn't find an explanation for yet. I don't know which side it was off. It was not what we learned later, the flying טרקטורונים המעופפים. I don't remember the term for it.
Like the paragliders?
Yes, the paragliders. So it was not one of them, that's for sure, but there was a parachute, and we haven't seen yet anything that is of Israel. So we didn't see the Air Force, we didn't see helicopters, nothing. We just saw Iron Dome. That's the only thing that we can identify as Israeli. Later in time, I saw one soldier. I think he was a Bedouin. And there was a...
When you were inside of Aroma still?
Yes, like from time to time we went outside to get some fresh air, and we needed to pee. And that soldier was really confused. You could see that.
He was alone?
He was alone, and there was a bullet hit behind his knee. You could see like there was a hole in his pants and blood. There was a paramedic in the area, by the way.
Just one?
One paramedic that mostly helped people with a panic attack. I think she also helped one wounded person from a shoot, but I don't have the entire details because I was not there to ask people. I was mostly concerned about myself, my family, and my friends. And my phone was not even with me. I left my phone in the car. I didn't even turn off the car because I was afraid it would not start again. So my phone was left in the car. I used Alon's phone to call my family, and I kind of said goodbye to my wife. I don't think she realized back then what is happening yet, because they just woke up to alarms and sirens. The next group of soldiers that arrived most definitely were Bedouin trackers. They were half dressed with their army uniform, and they told us that the only advice that they can give us is that we should not stay there and that we should go to Tselim. Now, in the almost 2 hours time that passed, luckily enough, I was not with my phone because I was not willing to see any of the videos that were already going around, mostly on Telegram. And even though people started to watch videos of terrorists and shooting and atrocities that already been published, I was requesting everybody to at least not show it to me, but also consider other people here that are panicked. So if you wanted to see the videos, if it's so important for you, go outside, do it privately. I think it was a smart decision because till this day, I didn't watch anything that I didn't want to see. And it kind of made a protecting shield over my mind and my soul. So anyways, they told us that we should drive to Tselim, but now at least I know that there are terrorists. I know that they come on white pickup trucks and that they have heavy machine guns. I realized that most likely they were the ones to take down the vehicle that we saw, the white Savannah. There is a chance that if I had left on time on the first attempt of starting the car, I would end up the same. I don't know what to call it, luck or whatever. I remember I've sent a request to pray for my life on Facebook. And the next day, it took me some time to answer all the people and say thank you for your prayers. But eventually we went back to the car and we drove to Tselim.
Do you know around what time that was?
Yes, if we arrived in Aroma, I think it was 7:20 or 7:30. So maybe 2 hours later it was already 9:30, possibly even towards 10. And the next drive was even more frightening because now we know about terrorists. It's not just missiles that we are afraid of.
And which direction is Tselim?
Tselim is it's southeast or east-east, I would say. Um, but it's more far from Gaza because this is where the Negev desert opens up on the map, while the Gaza and the Gaza envelope are more narrow, so close to each other. Tzelim is far from Gaza. That drive is also approximately 8 miles long, like 13 kilometers, 15 minutes. This drive, I was really pushing the gas pedal. And it's not like a very easy road to drive because there are a few, it's meandering.
Are there a lot of other cars on the road?
Not much, but any car that was there was speeding very, very high, definitely higher than me. I was still like, okay, I want to stay safe. And it was also a good decision because we saw some missile hits on the road, so there were holes in the road from missile hits. So yeah, we've bypassed them. Eventually we arrived to Tzelim and finally we see some army and police. So like I'm opening the window, what should we do? And they tell us, go to the kibbutz. Yeah, and then there is the security of the kibbutz. And the person in the gate is telling us, okay, take a few breaths, relax. You need to drive to our dining hall. There would be people, members of the kibbutz community. They will take care of your needs. And I'm just telling him, please don't put me in a place where I'm going to see wounded people because I just cannot. I can't see. He told me, don't worry. They are in the clinic, but you should go to the dining hall. Over there at the dining hall, we meet a lot of people from the party. Few of the bicycle riders. I guess there were people that were not even connected to any of those activities, but eventually we were the majority. I cannot tell you the total count of people that were secured over there. I believe the number is going towards the 200 people. The kibbutz members, together with some of volunteers, most of them were from the party, have started listing the missing people, and we've made like this emergency room for trying to locate. I'm trying to call Adir and Shiraz, but no answer. And the worry for them is going more and more and more. It was really surreal because the kibbutz was so quiet. You know, it's Shabbat morning and you can just hear the birds and some people talking very quietly. Over there were no missiles, at least not that I can remember. Later we started to see choppers of the Israeli Air Force finally.
Later, like
I think it was afternoon already. I think it was maybe 11 plus. I think I even read a report later that the first helicopter that made its way was around 11 something, so it makes sense. Now I'm starting to receive phone calls of people who worry for me because someone had posted the list of people who had survived and made it to Tzelim. It was all over the Facebook.
who posted this?
Like this emergency team that teamed up to see who is where, what they can do more. I started to receive phone calls from weird places, from people that like kind of, I don't know, they found my name, they called me and they asked me, have you seen this, have you seen that? I'm just adding their names to the missing people list. I remember a phone call from a friend that told me, listen, call to this guy. He's on field, they're in middle of nowhere, they're in the desert somewhere. See if you can help them. So I'm calling the guy and he told me I'm here with 300 people. We are walking somewhere. We are aiming to Moshav Patish. And the only thing that I could do for him is to report to the police. That's the only thing that I could do. I cannot leave. I cannot go back there. And my main focus is Adir and Shiraz and the third party on their car, Celine, as well. And
She was with them.
yes, there were 3 in Adir's car. They all from Holon. I'll just finish up my story. Basically, we've stayed there for a few more hours. I believe it was 3:30 or 4 p.m. when the kibbutz security team requested us all to to be together as they have a message for us, and we start to learn about the things that happen through the news. Someone thought it would be a good idea to put the news on a huge screen in the
But not until the afternoon.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, like up until at that point, you hadn't had the news on at all.
I've tried to avoid it. I tried to relax my family as much as possible. On the other hand, my own wife, she couldn't log into the news and find out what is happening because she's in the mission to take care of the children, which are panicked just from sirens.
How old are your children?
So Gaia, she's 10 years old. Rom just turned 8 this week, and Zohar, she's 5. All girls. Anyway, around 3:30, 4 p.m., they tell us that we should proceed. The road that we should take will lead to Tzomet Mashabim, next to Mashabei Sadeh Kibbutz, which is in Ramat HaNegev. That's even further south. But that's the only safe route. From there, we should drive towards Beersheba, and then highway number 6 that will take us to home, to the Tel Aviv district. So we followed that. I still had a fear from, not from terrorists, but from local threats, because as we drive towards Tlalim, I know there is a big Bedouin illegal settlement, and that is very close to Basis Tze'elim, to the Tze'elim army camp. And we know that the Bedouins over there are stealing weapons and ammunition from that army base. So they have weapons to fight with, and only if they want to, they can join the terror attack. So they told me, don't worry, it will be secure. And eventually we drove on the way. We see tanks on the road. It's also surreal, but we understand we're in a war now. As we've proceeded home, I think I've arrived home after 6 p.m. All the way, Rom is calling me through the entire day. When are you coming home? When are you coming home? Why can't you leave? And I don't want to give details to my daughters of what is happening. I'm just telling her there are a lot of sirens and it's not allowed to drive while missiles are being launched to Israel. I've arrived home. There was a lot of joy and cry. But we knew that the sirens, the missiles attack would be relaunched. They would just took a break. And it was true. So it's like maybe an hour later, we still have sirens. So we've decided to leave Holon. We went further north to the Sharon area, to Kfar Yona, to be with my sister-in-law, which welcomed us and gave us hospitality over there. We've been there for a couple of days, but in the meantime, our main worry is Adir, Shiraz, and Celine. To make their story shorter, so I will just say that they were accounted missing persons for almost a week, although the friends and the family created a chat group trying to find any details about them. They really hoped that they've met us in the party, but that was not the case. We only knew that they were in Mefalsim, that they were in the bomb shelter, in the Migunit, and we never heard from them again. We had the evidence of Celine that told her husband when she called him, as she was also panicked. She called him and said that, oh, the soldiers are coming. Unfortunately, those were not soldiers, those were the terrorists. Everything I'm going to tell you now is what we've learned in a later part of the happening. So already at, I believe it was Sunday night, some of the friends received the information that was the most crucial one. On Monday morning, they've updated me. I went to sleep on Sunday quite early. It was the last time I had a full night's sleep since. Monday morning, I'm in Kfar Yona. I'm not even in my home where I'm feeling comfortable. And one of Shiraz's friends is giving me the full details of what happened to them. They've learned the facts from a person that was hiding in the same bomb shelter with them. His name is Raz. Unfortunately, I don't know his full name. He was interviewed and the full story is published. I never went to see it because I just can't. I don't want to learn the details on that level. We even tried to receive footage from the security camera of Mefalsim, from the gate, because the bomb shelter is just next to it. And they told us it's impossible to get it, but later we realized they didn't want to give us the footage because nothing had survived beyond the gate of Mefalsim. So the story is that they were hiding there, Adir, Shiraz and Celine. They heard the sirens, they went out of the vehicle, they went into the bomb shelter. Over there, I don't know how much time they were hiding, but there was another person with them, and Raz, who was the survivor. Raz told the family that from some reason Adir went out of the bomb shelter, maybe to get some air. We don't know exactly why, or at least I don't know. And he was shot by a terrorist directly in the face, like no distance, nothing. And the next thing that happened, the terrorists have thrown grenades into the bomb shelter, which caused the immediate death of Shiraz. And severely injured Celine and the other person. Unfortunately, I forgot his name. And somehow Raz, the survivor, made his way out. He went into the kibbutz. He knocks on the first house door, and he fainted out. And then he told the story in the hospital on the following Sunday when someone from, I don't know exactly who, but someone went and received the evidence from him. They were counted missing because they didn't find their bodies. The bodies were not there. We tried to locate Adir's phone signal, which looked very weird, but it goes like next to the Gaza border, going back, something really weird, maybe, I don't know why, but they've kidnapped his phone as well. They took away some of his personal items, I think his wallet as well. Shiraz's phone was located. Anyways, the bodies, they found Adir's body, like they've confirmed finding his body, I think it was Wednesday, the following Wednesday. And on Friday was his funeral. While we were sitting the Shiva, the 7 days, mourning days, we received a message about Shiraz's body was identified, and a few hours after also Celine. Yeah, so we've buried them the following week. Not on the same day. And now, can I say a few words about them? Okay. So Adir is my friend since I was in high school, like Alon Milner. We've become like a triangle since we were in our 20s, basically since the army service, and we've built together this friendship that was based on the love for psychedelic trance music. We even had our own production for small parties that we've made only for fun, never for money. And obviously there were other friends in this circle, but for myself, from my point of view, this was like the core of all the circles of my friends. Like all of my other friends I know either through Alon or through Adir. And Adir was always the glue, because he always wanted to have more friends to be part of what we do, mostly going to festivals. But just, hanging out together as to enlarge the circle of friends. Even in my neighborhood, Adir was the glue for another new circle of friends. So Adir and I go as very good friends from our 20s. Um, I got married a few years before him, but I kind of waited, I think. And when he met Shiraz, and they got married, um, we've both brought children to this world in the same week. So my Gaia, she's 10 years old. She was born on September 10th. And Goshen, their first child, was born on September 16th. So that's the distance. This is how close we are. We live in the same city. We've became really neighbors as they've moved for, once they had Gili, their second daughter, their youngest. And we had Rom on the same year. So there is a distance of few months. Gili was born on February and Rom was born on November. So anyway, it happened that we live next to each other. We live on the same street. It's a minute walk between our apartments. They go to the same school. They go to the same classes. So even though we've been very, very good friends before, the families just bonded together, and it felt like one big family. Besides of the fact that we live in different apartments, we've done everything together. My daughters, even the younger one, the 5 years old, they always went to Adir and Shiraz home, and Goshen and Gili were always coming to our home. All our vacation were based together. We went to India to spend some time on the beaches of Goa for over a month together. All the summer, this recent summer, we've been together. We went to vacation together. Most of them were on the beach because Adir and Shiraz really love the water. Adir and Shiraz, both of them has 2 occupations. So Adir is an electrician, but he's also a teacher for babies, to swim. Shiraz is a water therapist for adults and people with disabilities. They even worked in the same therapy center, water therapy center in Holon. Shiraz also was occupied as a main secretary in a lawyer's firm in Tel Aviv. And obviously their passion was the water, but they were excel in everything they've done. They've always done for others. They were always focusing on other people more than themselves. They always, like for us as a family, they always say, meet Meital, my wife. You should go out a bit and we will be with the children, stop worrying, and everything will be fine. Shiraz was always suggesting to live as a commune. She said we should leave Holon, we should go to live in as a kibbutz and just live in one space, all of us together, because we are communicating so well, so why not to do that? And unfortunately, this dream had not been, we never materialized that dream. So it's a great loss for us. I mean, for my entire family, because it's not just my friend and his wife that I lost. I lost the adults that my daughters were connected to the most after me and my wife. And now we have 2 orphan girls that we have to think about their future, and that's not easy at all. Regarding Celine was Shiraz's friend. She met her at work on the lawyer's firm. Celine was also a secretary in that office, and Shiraz thought that Celine would be a good partner for her as a female, coming with us, all the guys, to the parties. So Celine became part of the gang, at least when we're going out. And Celine, she was married to Ido, who is another colleague, is one of the lawyers in that firm. And they They got married, I think, almost a year ago, and they had a baby. So baby Ellie has now have no mother. Ellie was actually Celine had finished her maternity leave on that very day of the party. That was the last day of her maternity leave. Baby Ellie was breastfeeded by Celine, and Ido is a young father that has to deal with 7 months now old baby. That's my story. I'm now occupied being unemployed as there is no tourism currently in Israel, so I'm now occupied mostly in giving presentations, telling about my story, looking to receive donations for the children. I'm more focused on Adir and Shira's children. To Ido, I'm trying to do my best by trying to see if he has any material needs. For example, today he told me that he needs heaters for the shower, so Ellie would not be cold once he's finishing her bath. So those are the things that are occupying me today, and I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to come and give my testimony.
Of course, thank you. Do you have any message, any last thing you want to share?
The only thing that I think I can share right now is that I want to bless those children. I want to secure their future. I want to make sure that even though they have no parents now, they will live their life fully, and that nothing would be missed from them, that they could have everything that they need. Unfortunately, I cannot promise the future that their parents have planned for them, because that was not something they shared with us. We never talked about plans for the future. We always lived the moment. And that's my only message. I don't have a political message if this is something you were expecting. I was always a person that lived for peace. I believe that peace is possible. On the nature of my work, I work with people from all over the world. I work with people from so many different opinions, and it seems to me that most common people are in the same mindset. They want to live a quiet life, to live in peace, to enjoy life, to enjoy everything that life is giving us. And today, unfortunately, I became less optimistic about that. I was a very optimistic person. I always told people that there is not a empty half of the glass. It's always full. Even the air on the top is something. So I don't think I'm in that mindset today. I hope it will change again. Also, my mental stability right now is not at its best. So maybe it's just a phase. Maybe I will become a person that is more passionate about peace.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. תודה רבה.